So in this lecture, let's go ahead and start building the authentication functionality. So let's first start off by building the login functionality for our application. So in order to create the login functionality, obviously we will be using the users app. And here, in order to build that functionality, first of all, we need to build a form. Now, there are multiple ways to build a login functionality. One is you could create forms here. The other way is that you could manually create HTML forms and then submit the data using the post method. Or you could also use the built-in authentication views, which comes with Django. However, here we'll try different approaches and see what works best for us. So the first approach which we are going to try is to create a login form using a simple form. So whenever you have to create forms in Django, you simply create a file called as forms.py and you just create a form by defining a form in terms of a class and then specify the fields which you want in that particular form. So we are going to do exactly that. So in order to create a login form, first of all, we will create a file called as forms.py in this users app. So let's go ahead, create a new file and say forms.py. So all the forms which you will be requiring for this particular users app, you could actually create them over here. So as we need a login form here, we'll actually go ahead and start building that right away. So first of all, I'll import forms. So here I would say from Django, import forms. Okay, so once we have imported that, it's showing us a warning because we have not yet used it. So let's go ahead and use that form. So here, in order to create a login form, I'll create a class and let's create a form called as login form. And here let's import from forms. So I would say forms.form. So this is actually going to inherit from the base form which we have. And here, let's say in this particular form field, we want to have a username and password field. So I would say username, and this is going to be forms dot. That's going to be character field because the username of a particular user is going to express in terms of characters. Now let's create a password field as well. So I would say password equals, that's also going to be forms dot character field as well, but now the widget which we'll be using for this is going to be the password widget. So here I will explicitly mention that. So here I would say widget equals, that's going to be forms dot password input. So what this does is that it's actually going to mask all the characters which are going to be typed in that particular form. And still we are getting this particular warning. It says Django, import Django could not be resolved from Pylance, so let's fix that as well. So now this particular issue which we have could be fixed in multiple ways, but I want to show you why exactly this issue happens and how to fix it once and for all so that you don't face such issues whenever you are working with certain Python projects in terminal. So first of all, whenever you are running Django applications, it's always actually better to use the built-in terminal. But let's say if you're using an external terminal like I am over here, what you could do is that right now we have opened up the social project, which is our Django project. But instead of opening up this particular project folder, what you do is that you instead open up the main container folder which we have, which actually includes your virtual environment. So right now the problem is that the version of Python or the Python interpreter which we are using in our terminal to run our Django app and the project interpreter or Python interpreter which VS Code is using, they are actually different, and that's what causes this particular issue. So here, if I simply go ahead, open up a folder, and instead of opening up the social project, instead if I open up the social project which actually has our virtual environment, let's see what happens. Now if I open this thing up, it's going to load up the virtual environment up over here. So as you can see, we have this env folder as well, and now VS Code is automatically going to pick up the Python path for the virtual environment. So as you can see here, it says the Python interpreter which we are currently using is actually present in the .env folder. So once we are done with this, we are pretty much good to go and the issue is fixed. So now once this form is created, from the next lecture onwards, let's go ahead and let's render out this form by creating a view. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you.